Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be going over the Player's Choice Godfest results in this informative video. So, the Player's Choice Godfest has been officially announced for North America. It will take place on Friday starting at midnight and run through Sunday. So, this Godfest will feature the 25 top voted cards along with plus 44 to a random stat. So you can get a lot of plus eggs as a consolation prize in case you don't roll something you want, along with a chance at rolling those 25 featured gods. In addition, this Godfest is unique because the Godfest exclusives that were not voted in will actually be unavailable to roll. So, for instance, the Sonyas and Metatrons will be unobtainable this Godfest. So that's great news for a lot of players who don't wish to actually roll those. So this video and article, which will be linked in the description below, will be basically summarizing my thoughts and opinions of the 25 voted monsters, along with cards that I feel should have made an appearance instead of some of the ones that were voted in. So, basically, unlike the previous Player's Choice Godfest we have had in the past, this one actually did not have the rankings revealed mid-voting period. So basically, beforehand, you could see who was in the lead by a large margin, and simply not vote for them and vote for someone else you wanted to get in that was close to making it into the top 25. So this is perhaps why a lot of cards may have fallen off the radar because they just didn't get voted in because people thought they were maybe a shoe-in already, and they voted for something else. Conversely, a lot of votes may have been dumped into, say, the top 3 unnecessarily. They may have been winners by a landslide. So a lot of people just kept voting for them when there was no actual need. And for the most part, these roles do make sense. Like, all the roles here, for the most part, are powerful and do have a place in the current meta. However, what is unfortunate is that 11 of these 25, or 44%, were actually 6-star Godfest exclusives. And if we go from this rolling data that I collected a year ago, if someone has something newer, please feel free to link it to me, but the chances of rolling a 6-star are despairingly low. Like, they're very bad. Like, a Player's Choice Godfest should be used to acquire Pantheon monsters, the best Pantheon monsters without any fillers. And by flooding the results with Godfest exclusives, we are going to be seeing a very sad rate of return. There's going to be probably a lot of sad silvers, more than this one because this one had fewer 6-star Godfest exclusives voted in, if I'm not mistaken. So we are going to be faced with a little bit of a problem moving forward in this Godfest because it is 4 times rates, but if those 6 stars are such a low hit chance, there's not many other things you can roll, so we are going to be experiencing poor rates of return, in my opinion. Maybe that's why they have the plus 44 to help offset the sadness. So, in all honesty, if you wanted a 6-star Godfest exclusive, you should have actually waited for a 5 times Godfest exclusive event, or perhaps that 10-stone rare machine to come back around again. Because 6-star Godfest exclusives have higher rates in those events compared to now. And like I said before, we want to use Player's Choice Godfest to feature the best Pantheon monsters. And Pantheon monsters are those like the Indian One, Egyptian, so on and so forth. Like, they are the regular cards you can roll at any time that are not Godfest exclusive. So in addition, like, voting in 11 6-star Godfest exclusives is kind of like an unhealthy indication for the direction Puzzle and Dragons is taking. Like, Gung Ho is really pushing 6-star supremacy with the majority of leaders being 6-star Godfest exclusives, the majority of top-tier subs being 6-star Godfest exclusives, and this leaves very little room for necessarily creativity or team-building options when the vast majority of cards either are very hard to rare or you need multiple duplicates of those rare cards. Like, Gung Ho is not doing a very good job, at least, of pushing power creep of currently available leaders. If we look at the original 5 Monster Point dragons, such as Raw Dragon, he is strong for sure, but he's not as overwhelmingly more powerful compared to what is already available. He's not, like, pushing power creep that far ahead, so we're kind of in a stagnant phase right now, and that means all those 6-star Godfest exclusives are still going to reign supreme, and for players who have either poor luck or low stones, you're not going to be able to acquire them very easily. Like, at least with a Monster Point card, you can farm them up, you can acquire them over time, because everyone in theory can acquire 300,000 Monster Points. However, Raw Dragon, despite the fact that you can purchase him, requires 3 of his 4 subs to be 6-star Godfest exclusive, so it's not really helping the cause in all honesty. So there is a very strong push for 6 stars, and that's probably why the results were so heavily skewed towards them, because they're rare and they're becoming so essential now on many top tier teams. So the following are the cards who I feel should have been voted into the Player's Choice Godfest, but were unsuccessful. And these are just my own opinions, so take them with a grain of salt. But in all honesty, I feel like Pantheon cards that I'm going to list now are more valuable than the numerous 6 stars, and some of the 6 stars should not even be there, to be honest. So first off, I feel that Awoken or Minerva should have been included, because Reincarnated Minerva is actually quite a powerful leader. She is capable to pair with Ilm, who is a 6-star Godfest exclusive, of course, but that is actually able to form a 60 times attack and 2.25 times recovery team, along with 50% passive damage reduction to fire, light, and dark. So this is actually a very capable team that has the potential to clear endgame content. Furthermore, dual Minerva leads form a 36 times attack team that is 75% damage reduction to fire, light, and dark. So that team is actually capable of cheesing through high-end content if you have the right latent setup and subs. So it has a lot of value, and it is powerful, but I'm surprised she didn't make it in. Considering she was just released, I thought she'd have a bit more hype. Maybe the fact that she doesn't actually use duplicates very well possibly lowered her relevancy, because, to be honest, a lot of the 6 stars that are voted in, you want duplicates of, like, the first, you want lots of Coyotes, you want lots of Dark Cowlies, you want lots of Sharius Roots, so, like, I can see why they were voted in more. Next is Ganesha, and Ganesha is used to gain additional rank experience when clearing a dungeon. So this is invaluable if you want to push rank very quickly. However, the Ganesha teams that are required are usually a bit more endgame oriented, and generally speaking, most endgame players, with the exception of myself, tend to have Ganesha already, so maybe that's why they didn't get voted in, because the majority of the player base is obviously not an endgame, and if you can't make use of it, it has no value to you. Or perhaps everyone thought they were a shoo-in and simply voted for something else. Next is Sarasvati, and I feel that Sarasvati should have been included because, in all honesty, Sarasvati fills a role that is quite unique, and she fulfills it very well. She is perhaps one of the strongest glass cannon leaders available, because she actually has 100 times attack with only 9 water orbs. So in shorter dungeons with very high damage requirements, she excels because she can easily blitz through a dungeon with minimal effort, relatively speaking, and basically handle any health in the game. Like, you can easily hit 10 million per card because you can stack rows alongside. However, I feel like a lot of people may have snuffed Sarasvati, mostly because Awoken Liu Bei exists, and Awoken Liu Bei kind of does all the co-op farming with ease, with multiple Dioses, and with the right inherits, you can easily spike for an absurd amount of damage. So I can see possibly why Sarasvati wasn't voted in, and Liu Bei was. Next is Cao Cao, and Cao Cao is actually quite he does form the same type of leader as Awoken Liu Bei. He's just lacking the Dioses to back him up, so that's why he is less popular. Furthermore, he has no bind clear active, so I guess that also diminishes his value. But he has a unique active. He is able to convert water and poison into fire, along with 1 turn of delay. So that's a natural turn of delay for fire, along with having bind immunity. And you can transform Awoken Cao Cao into a hard bind clearer. And this is great for Krishna teams, who is the strongest fire leader available, relatively speaking, so I'm surprised he actually was not voted in. Next is Venus, and Venus is gaining a reincarnated evolution that will give her 1,000 weighted stats, along with light typing. And Venus is perhaps the strongest base for skill inheritance for light monsters outside of Orpharion, who is basically unattainable for 99% of the pad population. And Venus is very powerful as a base because she has a 4-turn base cooldown that's very easy to overwrite, along with powerful awakenings, and like I said, that high weighted stats. So I'm surprised she wasn't included, considering how popular Miru is, and the fact that she basically is able to inherit any active and be able to use it very quickly on demand. Next is the Indian One Pantheon, which includes Shiva, Lakshmi, and Parvati. And those 3 leaders, they've always been powerful. Like, they've always been like a force to be reckoned with. They always have the capacity to clear content. However, they were just never strong enough to break into the top tier status, so they never achieved that popularity. Furthermore, their playstyles are a little more awkward or foreign, most notably Lakshmi and Parvati, because they require you to match a lot of connected hard orbs, which can feel awkward or clumsy, so a lot of people may not enjoy that playstyle, so that further diminishes their popularity. Furthermore, the reincarnated evolutions granted 4 times recovery, which is pretty amazing. However, they have no health multiplier, so they are basically very vulnerable without co-op. And even with co-op, you're still vulnerable to a lot of attacks because you may not necessarily have enough health. So you're forced to bring a shielding sub, forced to bring possibly a bind clearing sub if it's Lakshmi or Shiva. So it's just a lot of things have to go right for them to excel, and they're just short of being amazing. They're good, they're possibly great, they're just not amazing. And last but not least is a lack of shielding monsters. If we look at all the voted monsters, there's not a single shielding card available. And this may seem unusual, however, it does make sense because with the popularity of Heart Cross leaders, you don't need to run a shielding sub. Furthermore, the tankier leaders like, say, Krishna and the new Raw Dragon, they have more than enough health to survive any reasonable attack in the game, so you don't need to actually inherit shields anymore. That's partially the direction that Puzzle and Dragons is taking, and because it frees up a sub slot. But I'm still a little surprised perhaps that maybe Raphael didn't make it in because his shield is unique as it's 100% damage void. So you basically survive any attack provided they don't have any status dispels. So these are my thoughts for all of the voted in monsters, and I'm a little disappointed mostly that so many 6 stars were voted in. You can't help but have several 6 stars voted in, but having 11 or 44% is going to significantly dilute the chances of you rolling something that is featured. So the number 1 spot went to Kaede, and in all honesty, I'm not surprised. Kaede is a top tier leader. They are able to form one of the strongest teams in the game. However, they do require at least 2 duplicates of themselves to excel. So that's possibly why they're so voted in again, because even if you have 1 Kaede, you need at least 3 to be optimal. Furthermore, if you have only 2 Kaedes, you are able to actually use them as key subs on a Ranave team. So Kaede has a lot of value presently speaking, and they are deserving of the number 1 spot, because that makes sense why they're so popular. Number 2 went to Gremory, and I'm very surprised she was voted this high. Not surprised that she was voted in, but surprised she was voted as number 2, because she is a strong leader, but she is outpaced by Kaede, Ranave, Raw Dragon, and Miru, because she has an active skill clause. She has more than enough damage to clear content, but in longer dungeons you can't use an active every single turn, and you will have insufficient damage in most cases. So you are going to face that problem with Gremory, like you can't deal enough damage in longer dungeons. It may be hard to stall because you run out of heart crosses, so it's just a little awkward. However, she is well positioned to be a very strong sub if a new Mono Dark team is released. And rounding out the podium is Dark Kali, and Dark Kali will always be a strong and desired monster because Raw Dragon has proven time and time again that he is loved by Gung Ho with his new evolution that makes him a top tier leader once again. Furthermore, Raw Dragon also has the inclusion of Light Kana, who was coincidentally voted in as well. So Raw Dragon gains significant boost of power in his team roster, but you still require 2 Dark Kalis. Furthermore, if you have more than 2 Dark Kalis, they're actually still valuable because they can be used as inherits for skill delay protection or providing another board changer if that's what you need. So she's always going to be in style, she's always going to be desired, and it makes sense why she was 3rd place. In 4th is Akela, and Akela is part of the new Wisdom King series, and they are on par with Krishna in terms of a pantheon leader being powerful, because they are able to form a 2.25 times health and recovery team, and they're able to achieve up to 1,640 times attack when matching 3 color crosses. Granted, 3 color crosses is awkward to do, but you have a scaling component and hit 180 times with 2 color crosses. So she is capable of dealing enough damage to deal with most floors, and excessive amounts of damage for pre-draws or the Kalian arena. So she is valuable, and it makes sense why she was voted in. Maybe not necessarily as number 4, but she deserves to be in Player's Choice Godfest. Furthermore, she has no current ultimate evolution, so she has plenty of room to grow. Next is Liu Bei, and Liu Bei basically renames the game to Puzzle and Buttons, and he is the king of co-op, so I'm not surprised that he was voted in. You can simply acquire a bunch of Zeus Dioses, press buttons, swipe right, and kill things. Like, it's just easy. Next is Eshamali, and Eshamali has always been a fan favorite because possibly of her looks and her assets, most notably her 7 enhanced orb awakenings, which add tremendous passive damage to your team. So she is going to be still very powerful, even though she does break hearts, because the new Yomi Dragon is coming out, and with 7 enhanced Dark Orb Awakenings, you are able to deal a large amount of passive damage on a 5 orb, 1 enhance or fireworks team. Next is Ilm, and Ilm is the other part of the Minerva team that forms at 60 times attack, 2.25 times recovery, and it's amusing because Ilm was voted in, but Minerva wasn't, so you need the Minerva to go with the Ilm, so it makes no sense not having Minerva in all honesty. But Minerva does have a powerful board change. They are able to form light and hard orbs, so that is powerful for those types of mono fire, mono light teams. So it does make sense why they're voted in. They are a powerful leader, but they should really have had Minerva alongside. Next is DQXQ, and DQXQ is probably one of the best leaders to start out with in the game because they are able to form a powerful team right out of the Merrick machine. They do have 16 times with dual DQs. Pair of a friend, you get significantly more. And they are easy to use, they're easy to activate. They're also able to acquire all of their awoken materials on their own. So you are able to basically evolve your monsters with a DQXQ, evolve DQXQ, clear more content. Like I've cleared Arena 2 of DQXQ back in the day when it's current, so you're more than capable enough to clear endgame content, or some endgame content with her. So she is a powerful card. But when you transition into late game, she becomes more so a sub on mono light teams, and most notably, Miru. Furthermore, she has perfect board synergy with Apocalypse, so she's always going to be popular. Next is Kanna, and Kanna is one of the 4 ideal subs on the new Raw Dragon team, so it makes sense why she's voted in. She's bind immune, has 4 TPAs, it's crazy high damage. However, she also can be used as a leader in her dark form and has modest leadership potential, can pair with Yomi Dragon if you really want, or her light form can be used on a TPA-oriented Miru team. However, Kanna's main drawback is and always will be her lackluster active, so everyone always inherits something on top of it, but it's quite a long cooldown. Next is Krishna, and like I mentioned previously, Krishna is the strongest fire leader currently available, and basically on par with Akala in terms of Pantheon monsters available. So Krishna is powerful. They are able to form a 2.25 times health recovery and 45 times attack team. They can stack rows. They have damage control. They're just a powerful card all around, and I'm glad to see them included because they are, once again, a Pantheon monster, which is what Godfest Player's Choice Godfests should be. Next is Wukong, and Wukong functions similarly to DQXQ, except he actually provides some soft bind clearing, and his main downside, in all honesty, is a lack of board change synergy, but he has a nice body and can easily inherit a new active skill on top of him. Like DQXQ, he can be used on mono light teams as well as Miru. Next is Sharius Roots, and Sharius Roots is still a powerful rainbow leader. However, they're pretty much completely outclassed by the new Raw Dragon, which is kind of unfortunate for him because he never really got enough time to shine. Because Sharius Roots does have a very powerful board changer, so as a leader, it's great, especially in co-op because they recharge twice as fast. However, they are still vulnerable to binds, and if they get their vulnerability to binds addressed in a future evolution or a health multiplier, they could easily see an upshoot in resurgence of popularity and viability. Furthermore, if they ever get a god typing and you don't have to worry about binds, or they get bind immunity, they could function as a sub on Raw Dragon teams. Pandora is still a capable leader, but she has been pushed out just mostly due to power creep, and her focus has been more so on mono dark teams. Her active skill has great synergy with Mitsunari, Batman, and Zuo, so you have great board change synergy to form that 2/3 dark board for massive burst damage. Furthermore, her numerous rows have obviously ideal synergy on dark teams. She has devil typing, so she can be used by Gremory. She also produces hearts, so heart cross teams love her, as well as dark Xiaomei, so she's great all around. Furthermore, you can choose between her Awoken or Dark evolution, and you are able to basically customize her to your needs. Next is Isis, and Isis is one of the key components on the Raw Dragon team, so she is included. She's also the only Pantheon monster to be featured on that ideal team, so it's good that she's featured because she can be obtainable. Furthermore, Isis covers the water wood colors, which is awkward for a lot of rainbow teams, so this has a lot of value for them because you basically cover 2 colors with 1 monster. Furthermore, her 3-turn cooldown is very easy to inherit over top of, and you can basically customize your team even further without heavily compromising active skills available. Next is Ronove, and Ronove is the only 5-star Godfest exclusive to actually be voted in, and his sole purpose, he's not a sub, his sole purpose is forming a team that is capable of hitting 144 times attack and providing 57.75% damage reduction when forming a heart cross and matching rainbow color components. So he is a powerful leader, however he is still vulnerable to binds, and his shield is a bit weaker than Miru and Kaede, and he's unable to survive certain hits that they can. So that is kind of his main downside, along with, like I said, the vulnerability to binds. However, his team is actually kind of difficult to compose, but I guess he may have a little bit easier time team building, say, compared to Kaede, mostly because you do have a lot of farmable options that are valuable, like Gaynut, Lynthia are viable farmable solutions for a Ronove team, just because they produce a good board for him that synergizes with his active, as well as Ragnarok Dragon, who is technically farmable because it is a monster point card. However, Ronove still does not have an ultimate evolution, and when he does get one, I'm certain his popularity and power will go back up. Sonata possesses one of the most powerful actives available for fire teams because they're able to produce hearts and enhanced fire orbs. Furthermore, he has perfect synergy with Erd to produce that 2/3 enhanced fire, 1/3 heart board. So that is beautiful for explosive burst damage, and he is capable of providing numerous Fire Row Awakenings for your mono fire teams, most notably Krishna. So he is somewhat indispensable, has an amazing active, duplicates are highly encouraged because it's so powerful. So makes sense why he's voted in. Conversely, Akachi is basically the dark equivalent to Sonata for mono dark teams, and they have synergy of Haku and Zuo to form the similar 2/3 enhanced Dark Orb board for massive burst damage. Furthermore, Akachi will have more value when the new Yomi Dragon is released because you still get a great active, but the Dark Light version could have value because it actually has enhanced orbs. Paimon is another 6-star Godfest exclusive, and they act as both a powerful leader if you have a very expensive Paimon heavy team, as well as a sub on mono light teams. He has a very high weighted stats with a large amount of attack and health, along with 4 enhanced orb awakenings. In addition, you can inherit an active over top of his, so you actually have more flexibility of active you bring, because it's only a 7-turn cooldown. So he is a powerful monster, but again, it's a 6-star Godfest exclusive that is taking up the spot of possible Pantheon monsters. This also transitions nicely into the Red Odin component, because Red Odin is really a luxury card. Like, Red Odin is basically a monster that is used on push-button teams, and it's basically used to be able to button through things a little bit faster because of all the skill boosts and the high damage nuke. So he's great for those players because they can always use more Red Odins, I guess. He also has an inherit that can be used to bypass high defense monsters without status voids. So he does have value there, but it's really a luxury choice, and I don't feel like it should be included in the Player's Choice Godfest because it doesn't really help any team. It just helps you button through things faster. Maybe with a new split evolution that should be in the works, he may gain more viability, but that remains to be seen. Andromeda functions very well in today's meta. She provides water and hard orbs, so that's what you want, along with nice Row Awakenings, the capacity to be a soft bind clearer with the Recover Bind Awakening, so she fits on pretty much every mono water team in the game. Furthermore, she has God typing, so she will be included on Neptune Dragon, so basically every mono water team wants Andromeda. Like, it's hard to think of one that doesn't really use her. And as a side note for one of my longtime viewers and supporters, OP has always wanted Andromeda, so he is probably doing cartwheels right now because she got voted in, and he's been pushing very hard for her to be voted into Player's Choice. Next is Raziel, and Raziel may seem like a strange choice in Player's Choice Godfest. However, she is part of the ideal Ronove team, so it does make sense why she was included. Granted, that's a very niche usage because outside of Ronove, she's hardly ever seen, but it is a strong card for Ronove, and if you have Ronove, who's a 5-star Godfest exclusive, you could have Rosule, and you cover those awkward fire watercolors because ideal Rendezvous teams want Ragnarok Dragon and 2 Coyotes. Next is Ra, like just regular Ra, not Ra Dragon, and Ra it functions in a similar manner to Odin or Red Odin in that he is a push button luxury option. However, he does have the ability to provide a time debuff to override, a time buff to override time or orb movement time debuffs. So that may have niche values. And his active skill is only on a 7-turn cooldown, so you can inherit it elsewhere in case you need it on a monster that is used for killing pre-draws. Orochi is still the best delay option available in the game. They provide 4 turns of delay on a 15-turn cooldown, so he can be used as a sub because he does have 4 TPAs, or you can inherit him somewhere else, so he does have value on a lot of different compositions. In addition, you could, if you really wanted to get 5 turns of delay, go for the other evolution, but you do need to wait 20 instead of 15 turns. But overall, it's a very powerful card to have, great for inherits, and duplicates are valuable. And in the 24th spot is Sheet, and Sheet is really disappointing. Like, she is not that good of a 6-star Godfest exclusive. She's more so kind of interesting because she has 5 TPAs, but she has low base attack. So on row-oriented teams, which is what most mono water teams are, she has less value. She breaks hearts, so she can't be used on heart cross teams or Lakshmi. So she doesn't really fit very well, currently speaking. However, her active skill is one of the strongest if you don't need heart orbs, so maybe she's used as an inherit, but wasting a slot in player's choice for a 6-star Godfest exclusive that's mostly an inherit on some teams is wasteful, in my opinion. It was a sheety job voting her in. And last and certainly least is Dantalion. So if I was disappointed with Sheet, I'm probably more disappointed with Dantalion because he doesn't really fit into the meta currently speaking. He doesn't have a home on any mono fire team as an ideal choice, mostly because his active skill is underwhelming. Producing 3 fire and 3 heart orbs does not really help mono fire teams like Krishna or Shiva because you need more fire orbs to really do damage. Furthermore, we don't have a red fire cross leader, so it has less value. So right now, he's just in an awkward place, and I don't even understand why he was voted in. I really don't. So by comparison, this is the Korean Player's Choice Godfest exclusive lineup. It's quite similar. They also have 11 6-stars, but they're slightly different. They've included cards like Minerva, Ganesha, Sakuya, and Red Sonja, which seems unusual, but they did dump out a few other things like Dantalion, which was good, but overall, it's somewhat similar, but I guess maybe the rankings would make a little bit more sense. Like Grimoire wasn't number 2. Like I see Kaede, Dark Kali, and Kana, and Dark Kali. Sorry, Kaede, Eshimali, Kana, and Dark Kali being up there with Liu Bei. Like that makes sense. Like those are powerful monsters. So in conclusion, like this Player's Choice Godfest, like the votes were reasonable outside of the fact that so many 6-stars were voted in, but that is mostly attributed to the fact that 6-star Godfest exclusives reign supreme right now. Like, so many teams need them as leaders and subs and duplicates, so it's hard to make do without them, and that's probably why so many got voted in. And it's unfortunate. Like, hopefully Gung-Ho starts pushing a bit away from 6-star supremacy moving forward. But for now, this is what we're stuck with. So, let me know who you are hoping to roll, and what do you think of the actual voting results. Let me know in the comments below, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Best of luck to all those that roll, and happy puzzling!